Welcome back, beautiful, beloved souls. My name is Gem Stone. I'm a psychic medium and I am an author. On this channel, you'll find about 90% commentaries, and I will do the occasional PowerPoint. And I would like my audience to let me know, would you prefer commentaries or do you prefer PowerPoints? And as a psychic medium, I can remote view and I can channel. Over a couple of days ago, I offered PDFs for free. Nobody took that up, so I have decided to extend it till next Sunday. So if you would like to learn how to remote view or how to channel, I have some PDFs for you, and I'll give you that information at the end of the video. So for 1 week only, I will offer them for free, and you just have to write to me at my email address. Even if you don't want a PDF, you're welcome to write to me to say hi, and I'll get back to you within 48 hours. Okay, I don't fit a particular niche on this channel. I look at anything and everything through a lens, hence the name of the channel. I do specialize in consciousness, spirituality, and paranormal, sometimes conspiracies, but I look at everything. I've even looked at missing 411. All right, let's look at this. The title of this commentary is Consciousness Over Form, Testing Our Spiritual Maturity Against the Appearance of Entities. Introduction. Imagine for a moment that tomorrow morning undeniable proof of non-human intelligence appeared on every television screen, every phone, and every social media feed on Earth. Not a blurry light, not a questionable photograph, not a distant object, but a crystal clear encounter, an entity standing before humanity. What would happen? Most people assume the greatest challenge would be understanding what the entity is. I disagree. I believe the greater challenge would be understanding ourselves, because when confronted by something extraordinary, our first response is rarely discernment. It is awe, shock, fear, excitement, curiosity, and sometimes worship. In this commentary video, I want to explore a question that has become increasingly important in my own thinking. What if the greatest test in an encounter with an unknown intelligence is not identifying the being? What if the real test is whether we can see beyond the appearance altogether? Can we look through the mask? Can we recognize intent without become hypnotized by form? Can we remain conscious while the spectacle unfolds around us? That may be the true meaning of spiritual maturity. Chapter 1. The Age of the Spectacle. Human beings are visual creatures. Our brains evolved to process images rapidly. Movement catches our attention. Brightness catches our attention. Beauty catches our attention. Novelty catches our attention. The modern world has turned this tendency into an industry. Every day, we are flooded with images designed to capture and hold attention. The result is that we often mistake visibility for importance. The brightest thing becomes the most important thing. The loudest voice becomes the most important voice. The most impressive display becomes the most credible display. Yet, history repeatedly demonstrates that appearances can be deceived. History repeatedly demonstrates that appearances can deceive. The most convincing illusion often succeeds precisely because it is convincing. The most persuasive presentation is not necessarily the most truthful. This principle applies not only to humans, it applies to any intelligence we may encounter. Chapter 2. The ego loves a spectacle. One of the most overlooked aspects of spiritual growth is understanding the ego's relationship with wonder. The ego does not always seek power. Sometimes it seeks significance. Imagine an individual who believes they have encountered an extraordinary being. Suddenly, they feel chosen, special, selected, different from everyone else. The encounter becomes part of their identity. The experience may be genuine, but the ego quickly begins constructing stories around it. This is not a criticism. It is simply human nature. The problem arises when fascination replaces discernment, when we become so captivated by the messenger that we stop evaluating the message. Chapter 3. The Ancient Warning. This lesson appears repeatedly across spiritual traditions. Ancient texts often contain warnings about false prophets, deceptive spirits, trickster entities, and illusions. Interestingly, these warnings rarely focus on appearance. Instead, they focus on discernment. Evaluate the fruits. Evaluate the outcome. Evaluate the effect. The emphasis is not on what something looks like. It is on what something does. This distinction is critical. A beautiful appearance tells us very little. A frightening appearance tells us very little. Intent matters far more than aesthetics. Chapter 4. The problem with form. Suppose two entities appeared before you. One resembles a radiant angel. The other resembles a giant insect. Which one would you trust? Most people answer instinctively, the angel. But why? Because humans are conditioned to associate beauty with goodness, yet reality is rarely that simple. Nature offers countless examples. Bright colors can signal poison. Dangerous predators can appear magnificent. Harmless animals can appear frightening. Appearance and intent are not the same thing. The challenge becomes even greater when discussing non-human intelligence. What if an advanced consciousness does not share our standards of beauty? What if its appearance evolved for entirely different reasons? Would we reject wisdom because it arrived in an unsettling form? Would we embrace deception because it arrived wearing a beautiful face? These questions reveal more about us than about the entities themselves. Chapter 5. The Resonant Signature. Many spiritual traditions teach that consciousness possesses qualities beyond physical appearance. Compassion, integrity, wisdom, patience, humility. These qualities tend to produce consistent effects regardless of the individual expressing them. In metaphysical circles, some describe this as energetic resonance, the idea that intent carries a recognizable quality independent of form. Whether one interprets this psychologically or spiritually, the principle remains useful. Pay attention to outcomes. Pay attention to patterns. Pay attention to how interactions influence clarity, compassion, and personal sovereignty. These observations often reveal more than appearances ever could. Chapter 6. The Screen Memory Hypothesis. Within some UFO and paranormal traditions, there exists a concept known as screen memories. Let me repeat that. Screen memories. The idea suggests that consciousness may interpret unusual experiences through symbolic imagery. Whether literally true or not, the concept highlights an important principle. Human perception is not a passive camera. It is an active interpreter. The mind constantly translates unfamiliar information into familiar forms. If this is true, then focusing exclusively on appearance may lead us astray. The image may be meaningful, but it may not represent the entirety of what is occurring. Chapter 7. The Danger of Projection. Humans are natural storytellers. When confronted with ambiguity, we fill in the gaps. We project intentions, motives, emotions, personalities. This tendency helps us navigate social situations, but it can become problematic when applied to the unknown. A smile does not always indicate kindness. A stern expression does not always indicate hostility. The less we know about an intelligence, the greater the risk of projection. We begin imagining motives rather than discovering them. The challenge is remaining curious without becoming naive, open without becoming gullible, skeptical without becoming cynical. Chapter 8. Consciousness beyond appearance. One of the most intriguing philosophical questions is whether consciousness itself possesses a form. Many spiritual traditions suggest It does not. Forms arise. Forms change. Forms disappear. Yet awareness remains. If consciousness is fundamental, then appearance becomes secondary. The costume matters less than the actor. The vessel matters less than the awareness inhabiting it. This perspective radically changes how we evaluate encounters. Instead of asking, "What does it look like?" we begin asking, "What qualities does it express?" The question often leads much deeper. Chapter 9. The Anchor Technique. Suppose you found yourself in a genuinely anomalous situation, a sighting, an encounter, a moment of profound high strangeness. One technique involves shifting attention inward. Rather than becoming consumed by external events, focus on internal awareness. Observe your thoughts. Observe your emotions. Observe your reactions. Remain present. Remain centered. The goal is not to suppress wonder. The goal is to prevent wonder from overwhelming discernment. The observer remains anchored while the experience unfolds. Chapter 10. Sovereignty in the presence of the unknown. Spiritual maturity is not measured by how many extraordinary experiences we collect. It is measured by how we respond to them. Can we remain thoughtful under pressure? Can we maintain integrity in uncertainty? Can we preserve independent judgment when confronted with something astonishing? These questions apply equally to human authorities, belief systems, and alleged non-human intelligences. Sovereignty matters. No encounter should require surrendering critical thinking. No experience should require abandoning discernment. True wisdom strengthens agency rather than weakening it. Chapter 11. The Galactic Community Within. People often speak about preparing for contact with other intelligences, but perhaps the preparation begins much closer to home. Can we recognize consciousness in those who differ from us? Can we respect intelligence expressed in unfamiliar ways? Can we move beyond superficial judgments? Can we see beyond labels? The habits we practice with fellow human beings may ultimately determine how we respond to anything beyond humanity. The challenge is not merely cosmic, it's personal. Chapter 12. The Final Test. Imagine standing before an entity unlike anything you have ever seen. Brilliant, terrifying, magnificent, impossible. What happens next? Do you become overwhelmed by the appearance? Do you immediately worship? Do you immediately fear? Or do you pause, observe, listen, discern? Perhaps spiritual maturity is not the absence of awe. Perhaps it is the ability to experience awe without surrendering awareness, to remain fully conscious while standing before the extraordinary. Conclusion. The greatest danger in any encounter may not be deception from outside. It may be unconsciousness from within. Our tendency to confuse appearance with truth, beauty with goodness, power with wisdom, complexity with credibility. The challenge before us is simple, though not easy. Look deeper. Ask better questions. Remain anchored. Whether the encounter involves a human being, a belief system, an alleged entity, or an experience that defies explanation, the same principle applies. Form is the doorway. Consciousness is the destination. And perhaps true spiritual maturity begins the moment we stop asking what something looks like and start asking what it is becoming through its actions. Because in the end, masks are everywhere. But intent leaves footprints, and those footprints are often far easier to follow than the face behind them. I really appreciate you guys watching, and here is the information. As I said, for 1 week only, so from this Sunday the 14th of June 2026 to Sunday the 21st of June 2026, Sunday 5 p.m, I am offering PDFs for free. Please come and get them. It will help you. Now, if you're going to leave a comment, can you please do so with respect? If only the world was more respectful, more tolerant, less judgmental, less prejudice, what a better world we would live in. Please be kind to each other. Smile at a stranger. You might just save someone's life. Most of all, take care of yourselves, because you matter. You matter to me, and you are special. You are precious. Thanks again for watching. Love, light, and blessings. Have a rest of a good weekend, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now, beautiful beloved souls.